Morning, everyone. Welcome to Video Scores Volume 1. Today we're going to take a look at a tune called Lil Darlin by Neal Hefti. And Neal Hefti wrote a few tunes in his day, one of which was the Batman theme. But Lil Darlin is a nice, great little jazz tune. It was originally recorded, I believe, by Count Basie with his Atomic Band. I think that's what he was calling it back in the day. In the 50s it was released. It was originally, the story that I heard was that it was originally a medium tempo swing, and somebody in the session, I don't know who it was, had the idea of slowing the tempo way down, which really made it work. It's just so nice. So what I did is I was writing a book for my sextet, which was trumpet, tenor sax, trombone, and piano trio. So that's what I wrote it for. This version you're going to hear is a MIDI version. I never got a recording of a live recording, which probably I should go back and do. But this is a MIDI version, but you'll still hear it. I use my sample library, my orchestral sample library, so that should work. So let's take a look at this. This shows a lot of passing chords that we've talked about. There's a lot of stuff that we talked about in the ebook that's in this. Well, all these tunes have examples of what's in the ebook. That's the point of the videos that we're doing with the video scores. So let's check it out. Little Darlin, take it away, Fred. Here in the intro, this is just a piano. I just played this on piano. It's guitar or something. It's not horns on the original recording. And then the horns come in at letter A. And so what I did to put this together, I figured out had the melody and the chord changes. And so what I did is I just voiced down from the top voicing, in this case the trumpet. On this first voicing here, the melody note is a D, and I could have gone to a third here and done a B natural and then down to the F, but I opted for the ninth here, the A, because I thought it was more colorful and more interesting, and the voice leading to the other parts was more interesting too. So the top note here is a D, which is the fifth, then A, the ninth, and then F, the seventh. And of course the rest of the band's playing the G7 and the bass player's playing the tonic, so we don't need those notes. So moving on here, what I did here was the next on beat 3 is A, F natural, and a C. I could have went with a D here, but I like this C coming down to this B natural, and it sounded good. It's in the chord family of G7. This is a 5 chord in major. So all these notes are in the key. So if you're within the chord family, you should be just fine. And then this beat 4 of the bar, I opted for a dominant approach. This D flat 7 plus 11 chord. This with the G natural in the melody, I could have just made this an E natural for the 13th of the G7, and then B natural would be the third. But I liked doing this D flat. I thought I liked the sound of it, so I decided to do the dominant approach. It's a bass is just moving in half steps down to the C. So the G would be our plus 11, the E flat would be our ninth, and the B natural would be our flat 7. So then moving in bar 2, we have the chord is a C7 sus, and the melody is F in the first beat. So what I did is I just made it a B flat triad, which is the 11th or the sus 4, the 9th, which is the sus 2, and then B flat, the flat 7. Makes for a nice little triad. All these are in block voicing here. The third beat is an F triad, which is basically it's back to the F, the C, and the A. And then on beat 4, the melody note is G, so I wrote just straight down G. Opted for the ninth instead of the third because of the C7 sus, and then the B flat. And then on the end of 4, tied over to the next bar, our chord is an A minor 7 flat 5 chord, the note being an A. So I voiced down to the E flat, which is the flat 5, and the C, which is the third. And this ties over beautifully into the next, holding all the notes into the next bar, where the chord is a D7 flat 9. So this A, which is the root of the A minor, becomes the fifth of the D7. The E flat, which is the flat 5, becomes the flat 9 of the D7, and the C, which is the third, becomes the seventh of the C. And many of you probably see this all the time in your playing and know this, so I took advantage of this here. It worked perfectly. In bar 5 of the song, all this is the same. I just moved everything down. And then this time when we tied over into the third bar of the phrase here, the chord is an F7. Notice the voicing here is the same as it is up here. For the F7, this A becomes the third, the E flat becomes the flat 7, and the C is the fifth. And then on the B7 plus 11, what I wanted to do was this is a dominant approach chord, or a tritone substitute for the F7 going into the B flat here, which when we go into the B flat here, it's functioning as a 1 chord, well, or a 4 chord, 4 minor to 1 here because we're in the key of F. So we could have held the F7 for both bars, but the movement here is nice, so we took advantage of this tritone substitute going to the B flat. Okay, so at letter B, for the B flat 6 chord, and we moved into it from this half step slide here at the end of bar 8. The melody note was G flat, D flat, and B. So I just voiced it down a half step from this voicing and just did a half step slide. So the note is G, which is the 6th, D, and B flat. The downbeat of beat 2 is the same voicing, okay? And then on this one, on the G flat again, I did that half step slide, just like I did before. So it just goes down from G to G flat, D to D flat, B flat to A, and then back up again, but this time we have a B flat minor 6 chord to contend with. So G, we held this D flat to the third beat, so it's G natural, D flat, B flat. And then when we went up a half step to the A flat, I did another half step slide, just everything up a half step. So from D flat to E flat, well, really isn't a half step, but and then B to B natural, okay, and then back down a half step to from A flat to G, and then I'm voicing the B flat minor 6 chord, so I went D flat and then B flat here. This F triad here is anticipating the bar here. So this, in this next bar, the chord is F, which is our 1 chord. So to voice this F, and I didn't want to voice the 6th chord here because I wanted this D right here to change to an A. And it was short. It didn't go for very long. D da dee da, and it's you know, finished before you know it. But so I didn't want to hold the D for the end of 4 here, so I go into a C, B flat to A, G to F. So we have a nice F triad there. And then here down to C, for some reason I had an F triad here, and I opted for a E natural because this would be more colorful with the E natural here than opposed to just a straight F triad. So I changed that. On the recording you'll hear an F triad, but my computer is acting up, so I couldn't change it. So, and then again, here again we have the same that we had previously. This is just like the half step slide coming into here, coming into letter B, and this beats 1, 2, and 3, downbeat of 3 are the same as in this bar, so we just copy them over, and then and 3 and 4 and the note is an A, so I went A, F, and C to keep everybody moving. It worked just fine. It's basically a 1 passing chord for this B flat, and then for the B flat I did the 6 chords, so the B flat, the root, the 6th, and the minor 3rd, and then the and of 4 anticipates into the next bar, which is an A flat, which is an A minor 7 flat 5 to a D7 flat 9. So this A ties over and holds, the C, I'm sorry, the C ties over and holds for the whole bar, and which is the 3rd for the A minor and the 7th for the D7, and the A is tied over, although I didn't get a tie in here. The A is the root, and then that goes down to an F sharp or G flat, which is the 3rd of D7. And I could have went, typically on this bar here, you would go C for the 3rd. You wouldn't go root, you would go G for the flat 7 and E flat for the flat 5. But I opted for the A here because I didn't want to repeat the G. A lot of times on these voicings you have to work backwards. I didn't want to rewrite this E, this G here. I wanted everybody to be moving up the scale, so that's why I made it an A. And then he goes down to the G flat, and then this E flat plays his note again. So the only one that moves is the tenor voicing down. And then on this, the last 4 bars of this chorus, it's pretty much the same again as it was at letter A, except for the ba da da da. And so this is C7 chord, so it's a C triad here, and then D minor triad, like as a passing chord, almost like a 1 passing for the dominant chord, like a 5 to 1 passing. Again, we have the dominant chord here, and then it goes to the F. Notice the roots in the melody, so we harmonize it with the 6th, and we have the 3rd down here. Let's take a listen. Okay, and then that all repeats back to letter A and just plays that all again. All right, so now at letter C, we have a trumpet solo. anybody could solo on this tune, I guess. I just opted to have the trumpet play the solo. I think there's a Harmon trumpet solo on the Count Basie version, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Anyway, letter C. So what I did was, now I'm just voicing for the tenor and the trombone. So I just put it all in, instead of putting the tenor up in treble clef like I did with the trumpet, I put them in the trombone. And also because I kept them in the middle of the tenor's range and the trombone. So now I'm just dealing with two notes. So on the G7, I voiced the third and the flat 7, which are very definitive notes, that they really define this chord, given that the bass player is playing the G. I still like this D flat 7 plus 11 here, which I held the same notes, so now the B is the 7 and the F is the third. G minor C, so I went B flat, F, which is the third, and the flat 7, and moved the flat 7 down to E, which is the third. So now we have, this is tied over. This is supposed to be a whole note right here, this B flat. So this keeps playing. So now we have third and 7, and now we have B flat and E, which is 7th and 3rd here, just flipped. It's your typical piano voicing for 2/5 in the left hand. And then on the A minor, 7 flat 5, I went with the flat 5, the G on top and the flat 5, and these continue tied over. So now they are the, and this G goes down to a G flat or F sharp. I'm trying to be consistent with my flats and sharps. If I'm going to go with flats, I like to go with flats for the whole chart, especially on the individual parts. I don't like flipping around. A lot of good players are used to seeing it. They don't really care that much, but I like to keep it consistent. So that's why you're seeing G flat instead of F sharp. And then E flat. So this is now the third and the flat 9 of the D7 flat 9, just like in our previous examples. And then the trombone is going to walk down to this C, which now is the 7th of the D, and the G flat being a holdover is the 3rd. So definitive notes. A lot of stuff with 7ths and 3rds that define the chord. Okay? So now I kind of reversed it. This is a lot the same as on the last previous 4 bars, but I moved this B down an octave. Because he would walk down to that C in the previous bar here. So I had him go, I thought it might be nice. You know, you could have put this B up here. The point is that you're picking definitive notes and the intervals are nice, although this is a tritone. But with the whole band playing, it sounds great. Here's the same voicing in reverse. Here again we have the 3rd and the 7th, and then we have the 3rd, 7th. Here again, 3rd and 7th, the A and the B flat over the F7. Those hold over, 3rd and 7th, and then we have 3rd and 5th. Typically for a B chord, you would see this as D sharp and F sharp, but I've got E flat and G flat here. So. And then letter B, for the second half, I had him lay out on beat 1. I don't know why, just I thought aesthetically it would be nice. And we have the 3rd and the 6th, down to the minor 3rd and the 6th, the 5th, and the major 7th. Which, and there, you typically I wouldn't do a 5th. I could probably have done a 3rd, done a 3rd, but I like the D flat walking down to the C, and the C to the E makes a nice sixth triad, a sixth interval rather, and then it holds the C. This moves down to the E flat, and then down to the A, which is the third. And then this bar here is almost just the reverse of this bar. I just flipped the notes. I just took these D and D flat and moved it down an octave here. Again, we have pretty much what we've had before, the seventh and the flat 5, the flat 5. This is a mistake. This E flat needs to be a whole note holding out through the whole bar right here. So, and then this G down to the G flat works for this turnaround. Okay, and then the last 4 bars of the solo, I pretty much repeated what I did up here, and then I had a C sus, so I went B flat, I went the flat 7 and the sus 4 right here, and then on the F major 7th I went 3rd, and then the major 7th. Again, we have the 3rd and the 7, and on the A minor 7 flat 5, I have C is the 3rd, G is the 7th. The C holds to be the 7th for this, walks down to the F sharp, which is the 3rd for this. So if you notice, I'm trying to hit 3rds and 7s a lot with these 2-note voicings, and kind of avoiding a lot of large skips. They're in there. You know, you just have to use your judgment on this. So then we DS, okay? We go back up to the top again, plays the tune. Now this is the typical jazz standard. Plays the first 8, and then plays the bars 9 through 12, and then takes the coda for the last, and then plays that twice. And then at the very end, it plays it a 3rd time, but the ending is ba-da-da-da, ba-da, ba-da, ba, with the retard here, which is really nice. Let's take a listen to that. Okay, so what do we have here? Ba-da-da, F, back to the 1, and we just went down a whole step from the F, and then just down in half steps to the 5, 1. Okay, basically you just took the root and just moved it down a whole step, and just went half steps down to the 5, sus 5, and then landed on the 1 at the end, which is a beautiful 6/9. Got almost like an open 4th voicing here, which is really pretty. And so the notes being an A flat to an F, I did and the bass note was, and the chord was E flat sus. I did a block voicing of an E flat sus. So the A flat is a 4th, F is the 9 or the sus 2, and then D flat is the 7. Down to the F for my D minor, which is 3rd, 7th, 5th, D flat major 7th, up to the A flat again. So I just did A flat, 5th, 3rd, major 7th, and then the C minor 7th is anticipating the bar. So the melody note is F. So I just did like a 7th, 5th, 3rd, flat 3rd rather. Anyway, and then the last chord on the end of 2 with the fermata is our beautiful 4th voicing over an F, F6-9. So there you have Little Darlin by Neal Hefti.